last but not least, I want to put out there. There's some videos out there. Now, usually I don't address certain videos out there, but there's some videos out there that was out there for a while claiming that Israel, the children of Israel, are only people of Negroid features. All right? I don't normally deal with these things because a lot of these things are based and really don't have anything to do with the overall doctrine of Christ. But I wanted to point out the deception concerning that. The only reason they pull that out, they're saying that talking about the Indian tribes and the Indian tribes and the people over in South Central and North America that were there before the Europeans, they're claiming that these people were not the children of Israel, or not, and that they are Asian. All right. Now, first of all, we know that the same deceivers who came and taught us lies over in America claimed that the Indians walked through the Bering Strait, and that's how they got to America, or what they call the Japhetic people, or the Asians. Now, when you go to 2 Ezra 13 and 39, let's go there. Because there's some new teachings out there we're hearing that people are talking about that all 10 tribes went to Ararat. So I wanted to address that real quick. And we're going to bring some proof beyond any shadow of a doubt to show you that the 10 tribes not only went over to the Americas, all of them don't have strong Negroid features. Okay?
2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 39.
Read.
And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him.
Go ahead.
Verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land.
In the time of Hosea the king.
Go ahead.
Whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters.
He carried them over. How did he get them there?
And he carried them over the waters.
He carried them over the waters. Let's keep it right there to let you know that's how they traveled. Over the waters. That means they did not walk on dry land. He carried them over the waters. Read.
And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land.
So how did they get into another land? Read that again.
And he carried them over the waters.
They did not walk on dry shod. They were carried over the waters. Read.
And so they came into another land.
That's how they got into another land.
Verse
Read.
41. But they took this counsel among themselves.
This is the counsel they took among themselves.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
They would leave the place where the heathen inhabited, where the heathen were. Read.
And go forth into a further country.
Go into another country.
Where never mankind dwelt.
So the question is, did people ever dwell in Ararat? The answer is yes. So when people look at that word Azareth, there's people out there that's trying to deceive the people so that you don't know who the real children of Israel are. They made you believe that the people wandered and went into Ararat. So the question is, was there people in Ararat before that? Yes. Are there people in Ararat now? Yes. So if the only place they can go where never mankind dwelt was where? To the Americas. I'm going to prove it. Read.
Verse 42. That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Go ahead.
Verse 43. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river.
Go ahead.
Verse 44.
That's how they got around first before they got on the bodies of water. Read.
And the Most High then showed signs for them, and he held still the flood till they were passed over.
He held stood the flood, which means he calmed the waters until they were passed over. Now, I'm putting this out there because we've gotten some people that have been coming to us saying that there's some teachings out there that claim that the Most High held the waters like Moses and the Israelites walked through the Red Sea and walked for a year and a half into another land. That have nothing to do with Scripture at all. That means that Exodus was greater and longer than us coming out of Egypt. Now, we have new teachings out there where people are claiming that only black people or people of black features are Israelites. Well, that's an issue. because we know that Ephraim was over the northern kingdom, and we know that Judah was over the southern kingdom. Now let's go to Hosea 7 and 8 real quick. So when you see Ephraim in the stick of Ephraim, it's speaking of the 10 tribes that left out. Read.
Hosea chapter 7 verse 8.
Read.
Ephraim, he had mixed himself among the people.
If Ephraim mixed himself amongst the people, how can they have the same features? Read.
Ephraim is a cake not turned.
Ephraim is a cake not turned. So when it speaks of Ephraim, it's speaking of the northern kingdom. A cake not turned is some dark, some light. That means the cake is not going to be the same on both sides. One part going to be lighter than the other. So when you see lighter skinned Ephraimites and lighter skinned Indians, you can't look at them and say, well, they don't got our features, so they must be somebody else. There's no scripture to say that you actually identify the children of Israel based on Negroid features. We know some brothers out there that have been teaching that for a long time. There's videos out there that's total madness. And it doesn't link with history or archaeology. Why do I say that? Someone needs to tell me, how is it that the Most High said he's going to spread his people throughout the 4 corners of the earth, but yet all the people that was in America when the Europeans got there were Asians? Does that make any sense to you? Also, how is it these Asians that they claim that they got to America through the Bering Strait had Hebrew in their burial grounds? And speaking a dialect of Hebrew, I have lost tribes in the promised lands in front of me that have the memoirs from so-called explorers who found the land. Montezuma and his conversations are within the book where they was doing the Hebrew credos in America before the total domination of the Europeans. Let's read this real quick. On page 30, it talks about a lost tribe of Israel discovered in New York. Remember when they claimed that New York was bought for some beads by the European conquerors? They bought the whole New York for some beads and a little wine, a few barrels of wine. Lost tribe, right? Now, let me get some actual quotes out of the book.
Oh, well, you getting that? You mind to read this real quick?
Read it.
This is Revelation chapter 5, verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to praise, or thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof.
And open the seals thereof, read.
For thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to the Most High by the blood, out of every kindred, and tongue, and people, and nation.
Out of where?
Out of every kindred, and tongue, and people, and nation.
Out of every kindred, people, tongue, and nation. So we're being redeemed from the 4 corners of the earth. So when people are lying, claiming that the 10 tribes are not those people, they're going into what we call a black nationalist type of doctrine, and have nothing to do with the doctrine of Christ at all. Okay? There were lighter skinned people. A matter of fact, amongst our own people, if no other people come around, we'll have the spectrum of colors of people amongst us. We have the lightest people. Even if 2 dark-skinned people get together, they can have a real light-skinned baby. They can have, think about it. Noah was the father of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Those are 3 separate nations that came from one man. So shouldn't Ham, Shem, and Japheth all have attributes of Noah? So to say that because someone don't look like black people specific, and I want to see who's the verifier of this. Who's going to look at people and say, okay, that's an Israelite. Yeah, I'm looking at his features, yeah. That's total madness. Now, there's more.
Right, if I could add to that also.
Go ahead.
You're going to have Israelites who come out of every nation and every people. Therefore, you may have Israelites who may look like the other nations in which they were scattered. So you can't go strictly off of the physical features and say that somebody's an Israelite or not an Israelite because they don't have Negroid features.
Yeah, I don't even know where that comes from. That's total. I mean, that's total. What do they got to do with the Bible? Think about it. If the Most High is going to redeem us out of all nations, you're going to have our people looking just like East Indians, looking more Chinese than some of the Chinese people. They're going to be looking white. You understand? They're going to be looking like the nations they were gathered out of. But there is a DNA strand through their fathers that links to Jacob. That's the key. And that's why we can't strive in genealogies. And I know people out there bringing this forth because their next step is to now make a decision on who should be a part of the movement and who should be a part of the truth. That's their next stage. To be verifiers, to stop the kingdom of heaven for those that would get in. When they don't even know if they're getting in themselves, but they want to be the verifier for who get in and what they can do. That's the next stage they take. Well, because of this Negroid thing, then, well, if somebody looking a certain color, should they be doing this or should they be doing that? That's the next step they're going to go in. The question is, what are you doing to get into the kingdom of heaven? How can you stop somebody else from doing work, and that's their work to get into the kingdom, when what that person is doing have nothing to do with whether or not you're going to make it? Let's get this out of the book real quick. Give me the conversation with Montezuma out of here real quick. Was it marked in there? Or?
I think it sounded like the highlights.
It's faded out a little bit?
Yeah.
Also, give me, show me the dialis of Christopher Columbus. And what he showed Queen Isabella. Listen, all the 10 tribes are not going to look Negroid. Okay? That'll go against prophecy itself. Ephraim has mixed himself amongst the people. And the Most High is going to gather us out of every nation, kindred, and tongue. Okay? So we're going to be looking just like the other nations, but through our Father, even the Most High know who our Father is and who the promises of Abraham went down to. He would know that. Now, when we identify the 12 tribes that we break down within our church, we break down the predominant number where they are in the Americas. Okay, in predominant number. Not straight from prophecy. Not straight from prophecy, but also archaeological proof. All right? And beyond question, these are the people that have suffered at the hands of the eagle. No place in Scripture where it says Japheth would go to America and be destroyed by Edom. I mean, come on. Just get Montezuma. Look at Montezuma there. It'll give you the page. Unless the page came out.
Nah.
It's in there?
Yeah.
Okay, give us 1 second. Bear with us real quick, because we have to show this. Let me see it. Here it is right here. Montezuma is speaking to, hold on here.